Hey everybody, welcome to the Canadian Job Search Podcast. My name is John Ribeiro and I will be your host. I'll be interviewing recruiters, hiring managers, and experts to help you land your next job sooner. Just a quick reminder to download your high-converting resume template that's been proven to get you more job interviews at resumetemplate.canadianjobsearchacademy.com. And if this episode resonates with you, then remember to subscribe, comment, and share. Thank you and welcome to the show. Hey everybody, welcome to the Canadian Job Search Podcast. It's John here and I've got an incredibly special guest, which is Connel Valentine. Hey Connel, say hi to everybody.
Hey John, hey everybody, good to be here.
Yeah, and I just wanted to kind of kick this off because this is our annual end of year wrap-up podcast. It's the one thing that we do every year, just kind of looking back at 2021 and reflecting at what's changed. And what people can do is set themselves up for success in 2022. So Connell, we'll go back and forth between the two of us because I know we've both got a lot of insights in terms of the research that we've done, the people that we've talked to, and we're starting to see trends in terms of what's happening for 2022. So let's start off with the most basic question. What's really changed in 2021 that's made the job search the job search process different than any other year before that?
Yeah, well, it's all over the news, right? It's all about COVID and people working from home. And I think that the big change that I've researched now is that people are now looking for companies that are more open to flexibility. Work from home is set in and people are loving that model. And that people are now very focused and very targeted in terms of what companies that they're looking for to get into.
Yeah, and they want flexibility so they can be close to their families, in case you guys are hearing some stuff in the background. But that's definitely, and I even see it, based on some of the postings that I've seen, hybrid type environments where people are expected to be in the office 1 to 2 days a week to full-time remote. So the one thing I think organizations and corporations are being very sensitive to is just being able to give people that flexibility to manage their life a little bit better and not really working a 9 to 5 set shift and kind of working when they need to work. So I think that's been the biggest thing that's really shown up this year in 2021, where people are looking for flexibilities and organizations are more sensitive to that, but also to find, I think what I've seen are people are looking for organizations that have similar values to theirs, right? And I know some of the work that you've done with some of our clients has really been centered around that, right? Like, actually, I'll let you kind of walk us through it a little bit. Just talk about values in terms of what are candidates looking for? So, for the employers that are out there listening to this podcast, here's some insights that are like straight from the source.
So as we build up our resume for our clients and coach them through the interview process and stuff, one of the big things that we do is actually ask them what are they looking for, right? And based on the skill sets and the experience, and it's a great conversation that we have with them. Ultimately, almost all of them, they tell us, the values that they're looking for in terms of flexibility, in terms of they're looking for organizations where there's stability now as well. There are a few exceptions where I've seen folks saying, no, I still want to stick to, the startup market and things like that. But, there's huge opportunity for growth in there as well. But now with the way things are going, it seems that the trend is people are looking for those organizations that are a lot more stable. That's what they want. I've had conversations where as soon as they see, bad culture in a company, they're, up and ready to go. They're like, this is not for me, and they're hopping on to the next job. But at the same time, because a lot of people are doing this as well, there's a lot of competition out there. What's something that's not changed is still the number one complaint that people who are in tough situations are not getting responses, right, to their online job applications. That's something that hasn't changed, right? While things are different, what still remains the same is that people still need to be on top of their brand. They need to know what value they bring and what values, as you mentioned, what value they want and what they need should speak out in their brand, in their resume, and in their LinkedIn profile as well, so that companies can easily see that as well.
Yeah, and so I'm really glad you brought that up because actually this kind of leads into the next question. Because the one thing I've recognized and the one thing that I've seen this year is really people focusing on their brand online as their careers, right? So really building a brand around your career, leveraging your resume, leveraging your LinkedIn profile, leveraging your online presence to really
Yeah.
build your brand. So I know branding is key to career search and growth, but I want to get some of your insights in terms of what are some of the things that people really need to focus on from a brand perspective to make sure that they get recognized and picked up in this market?
So, one of my clients that I coached recently, she was, successful in getting a senior marketing manager role. And one of the questions I always ask my clients is, why did you get into this role? Right. And the feedback that she gave me after she was successful at the interview was, she's like, Connell, man, I'm so glad that we had that conversation, because the interviewer asked me the exact same question. Why did you get into marketing? And thanks to our session, I was prepared with that answer. So yeah, when it comes to branding, it's really about asking those kind of questions that you normally don't really ask yourself. Things like that. That's a perfect example. Why did you get into this role? What makes you good at your job? Why would your manager miss you? That's my favorite one. People always laugh at those kind of things. What are the biggest challenges that you see in this industry, and how do you tackle those? So these are the kind of questions, if you ask yourself, your brand just sort of automatically comes out of those answers, and boom, it goes into your resume and LinkedIn profile. So that the readers can clearly see what it is that you bring to the organization.
Yeah, and I love that, right? Because I think one of the things, and part of what we do, for those of you that aren't familiar with us, we both coach in this space, and we both help people get through, just kind of recognizing and just being more aware of the skills that they have, right? One of the things that I've seen that people get incredibly challenged with is really recognizing the greatness within them. And part of what we do as coaches, and part of what I love in terms, it's funny, what do you love about this job and why did you get into it? Is really around helping people get to a place where they're incredibly successful. Because the way I see it is, when an individual is successful in their particular job, it means they're successful in their community, they're giving back to their community, and they're growing and they're setting roots for the future. And it's one of the things I know, Connell, it's something you're incredibly passionate about. I know it's something I'm incredibly passionate about. Both being immigrants, my parents were immigrants. You're an immigrant to Canada. We had to figure out how to set our roots in this country. It wasn't something that was just given to us. It's something that we've kind of earned and built over the years. And it's something that we actually coach and train people on. And I love that part of it, because I know when you set your brand up successfully, you're not just building it for now, you're also building it for the road ahead. And really, and this kind of grows and kind of flows into my next question, because I think the one thing that's really come up is really around growing your network, right? So, job search, from the people that I've interviewed, at least, they say 50% of your job search should be applying to jobs, and the other 50% should be applying to work. So, Connell, I just want to get a little bit of your insights and some of your feedback in terms of, what do people need to look for specifically when people are building out their network?
So I think the key word for the year is intention when it comes to networking, right? It's having a plan and building out a network with intention, not to do it passively as what most people do, right? So what I mean by that is what most people do is they have a need, whether it's to get a job or to get a promotion or whatever it is. And when that need arises, then they come in and start to network. And what that essentially means to them is reaching out to people and asking for things, whether it's a coffee meeting or a quick conversation or someone's opinion. And I think that's the key difference. That's the big difference, is that you don't network when you have a need. Okay. You would take networking as a lifestyle. It's something that you do every day. Always add value to your network by continuously keeping in touch with them. And a lot of people struggle with this concept of, how do you add value to your network? And well, there's a ton of ways. Like, I think knowledge is the easiest way to do it. Make a list of people that you want to connect with, and find out everything you can about them and their company, and provide that kind of information to them. I think that's the easiest low-hanging fruit that people can have.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I'm with you, right? It's really around building those relationships, not just for the present, but also for the future, and doing it when you have the time and space to do it. Some people get stuck in applying for 100 jobs, they don't get any responses. And, one of our methodologies, and I'm going to almost call it our trademark, is really around reaching out to people while you're in the process of doing your job search, and really forging and creating, building relationships that are going to get you into a place where they're going to get you into the room. And the thing is, they just take time to build, right? And you think about friendships that you have with certain people around you. It's not something that happens overnight in a single instance. Maybe it does. Some people build rapport really quickly that way. And actually, that's one of the things we teach as well, how to build rapport and really forge a connection very quickly. But it's really around growing and building out for the future. And actually, Connell, so this is one thing, and I think as we start to wind up and get to our final question, when it comes to 2022, whether you are getting into your first job or you're thinking about some sort of career growth and progression, what do you feel is the best way for a person to position themselves for future growth?
So I think it goes back to the previous point, which is essentially a lot of networking, a lot of branding, and a lot of self-reflection and marketing as well on your skills. There's so many the three pillars, I think, right, to when it comes to any job search or any career growth. That is, your brand, your job interview skills, and your networking. I think these are three of the biggest, the three main pillars, right? And you can do one and not the other two, and it'll take you longer, right? But if you approach your career, firing on all three cylinders, that's the best way to get into the job market. And if I was to choose one of them, I would think, that's a tough one.
It is a tough one. I'm like, why would you even go there? I'm looking at the three: brand, interview prep, and networking. I'm like, I don't know which one. I don't know. So if you were to focus on one right now, and actually, what's the one that we really focus on when we're coaching and working with clients?
So we focus really a lot on branding, right? And that is building out our clients' resume, their LinkedIn profile, the cover letter. When you do that, and that's because a lot of our clients, they know what they want, and they want career progression, right? They do have some amazing backstories and accomplishments. It's just that they struggle with building that brand around that accomplishments and those achievements. So we focus a lot on that area. But having said that, we don't let go of the other two things, right? That's what makes us different, is that, with us, not only do you get that resume, link profile, and cover letter that's going to get you that next role, but we also train you on your job interview skills, because, the brand will get you the job interview, but acing the job interview will get you the job offer, right? That's why job interview training is important.
No, and it's a different process altogether, right? Like it's one thing to prepare for a job interview and get into the room with somebody. And then it's another thing to go out there and sell yourself to that person. Essentially, that's what you're doing, right? Even though everybody might say, hey, I hate doing sales. But ultimately, when you're sitting in front of a person, you're building rapport with them. You're educating them on why it's important that they hire you, because of the value you're going to bring to their organization. And actually, that's a mindset and a framework to kind of think about when you're doing the interview. It's like, how am I bringing value, and how do I make them recognize I'm bringing value to them? And that's the part about what I love about what we do in Coach. Sorry, you were just going to add something else.
So 2022, right? We know that immigration is not slowing down by any means at all. I think that we're going to cross, more than 400,000 in 2022, right? So we've helped newcomers and residents in Canada, achieve success over here. But especially for newcomers to Canada, branding is something that could be culturally completely different to them, right? Because the cultures that they typically come from, you're required to tell rather than sell, right? But out here in North America, it's more about selling. And the other challenge that anyone could face, but especially newcomers, is there's a lot of bias that they have to deal with, right? Essentially, this is what I've always said. One of the challenges in Canada is that the hiring process is extremely conservative. And that's because, in this liberal country, there's a lot of protection offered for full-time employees, right? So it's quite natural that hiring managers are very conservative in what they do. They do put this thing out there that we need Canadian experience and those kind of things, which is understandable, right? But with the right branding, and especially with the right networking, anyone can overcome that Canadian experience barrier or any shortcomings that we have. So this is one of the things that I've seen, that I've worked when I've worked with clients. Not everyone has a perfect career, right? Historically, and it can range from anything of someone having a very large career gap just because they've been struggling for so long out here, or they've been job hopping a lot for whatever reason. Like one of my recent clients, if you just look at his resume, you'd look at it and objectively you think that this person changes jobs every year, so I don't want to hire that person, right? But when you actually speak to that person, he actually had legitimate reasons for every job that he moved to. Either he was on a contract role, or he didn't like the culture, so he had to move, and then he had to change cities. So all of that needs to come out in some way, either on the cover letter or ideally with one-on-one networking. And that's what we offer as well, right? And an intentional networking plan for our clients, not something that they just passively do. There is a plan and a strategy that you follow, and that's why they're so successful at what they do.
And exactly. So I'm with you 100%. So as we go into 2022, the one thing, if you're thinking about whether you're a newcomer or you're somebody who's already here, who's thinking about career growth and career transition, is really positioning yourself and using, the 3 pillars: your brand, your interview, and your networking skills to really get you to the next level. And really the goal is, and what we've seen with our clients, is when you put all of these things in place and you have a framework in terms of how to get there, that's where success is going to lead you. So we're nearing the end of this podcast because, really this is really a summary of what's happened in 2021 and really about what's coming up for 2022. Connell, I know you and I, we're going through some changes in terms of what we're doing. And for those of you that are listening to this podcast, this is the last Canadian job search podcast. We're going to be wrapping this one up in 2021. We're going to come out. Don't worry. We're going to be back in 2022 with something new and something different. But we're going to be wrapping up the Canadian job search podcast. And Connell, we're in the midst of launching a new website as well. You want to just kind of give people a bit of an overview of what that looks like?
Yeah, so I'm really excited about it because it's a new streamlined look, and it gives everyone instant access to everything that we have to offer. We know that what we've learned from our audience in the last couple of years is that sometimes they're looking for everything, but sometimes they're looking for just help in certain areas, just in one places. Like for example, someone just wants help in just writing cover letters, for example, right? So we're going to be changing our product line to showcase, the entire range, right? We're going to help people out as economically viable as possible, right? If someone just needs help in one area, we're going to make sure that they can afford to get that kind of help. If someone wants that personalized hand-holding, end-to-end coaching, we're going to be there for that as well. We do know that a lot of times there are 2 kinds of folks: people who say, look, I trust you guys are professionals, you do it for me, you get it done, that way I have their confidence. And there's some folks who say, look, I'm a smart person, so just show me what you guys do and I'll handle the rest. Right? So we're going to be catering to both those audiences, right? Whatever you feel you want to learn and achieve your goals the best way you can, we're going to be we're going to have something available for you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I know one of the things that's come up a lot this year too is just interview prep coaching, which is a big one. And the one thing that I've found people have been incredibly successful with is, once they do a preparation session with us, when they walk into the room, the level of confidence just jumps up to the next level. They show up. And Connell, I know you've seen this too, based on the conversations that we've had with people in terms of how we walk them through the brand building piece of what they do, and then the interview preparation piece, and then even the network piece. These are all things that we do in our coaching conversations to really ramp you up and get you ready for the next level, whether it's in your career, if you're going into your first job or your first job in Canada, or you're thinking about just ramping up and getting to the next level within your career in Canada. That's what we're here for. So So we're going to have a new website. We're going to have a new podcast. And it's really around serving you. And one of the things I wanted to take a moment out to do is just thank all of you that are, that have been listening, the thousands of you that have downloaded the podcast, or the thousands of you that have gone to our website, or the thousands of you that are part of our mailing list today. I just wanted to take a moment and say thank you for the support that you've given us over the last 5 years. It's been an honor and a privilege to work with everybody, right? Whether, in a small capacity through one of our programs or through our one-to-one coaching. I just wanted to say thanks. Connell, what about you? You want to say anything to our audience that are listening in right now?
Well, yeah, I mean, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for audience, for sure, right? And, how you guys came here, whether you read one of our answers in Quora, or you saw us on Facebook or YouTube, Google, whatever it is, right? We're so humbled by, the thousands of people that read our blogs, our emails, our podcasts. And, every time we send them out, we get a ton of feedback from people replying, saying, this is amazing, this is great, it's really helped us. And, I think the most humbling thing for us is when we get that email saying, I got the job, right? That is really what lights us up and makes it all worthwhile, right? So I've always said your success is ours. And vice versa. So, no, thank you guys. And we can't wait to come back and do it all over again in 2022 and every year after that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And really about building impact and sharing value with everybody. One of our key missions in the work that we do is really around offering value, giving value, and making sure that people get the most value in terms of what we do. So we're going to be wrapping up this session of the Canadian Job Search podcast with a final one for 2021 and final one forever until we move into our new podcast. But just a big thanks to everybody. And with that, I'm going to sign off saying have an incredible New Year's, have a wonderful, 2021, wrap it up, make it strong, and then make your 2022 even better. And if you need support and help for that, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Thanks, everyone.